Yes, we're back. The reports are on Gyokeres that he's on strike. Gyokeres is on strike. He was meant to report for pre-season training at Sporting Lisbon on Friday, obviously yesterday. Didn't turn up. This morning, today, didn't turn up. He hasn't turned up for 2 days. Now, I saw a lot of a few like quotes and stuff, people saying and people's opinions saying, "Oh, is this the type of character that we need at Arsenal and stuff like that?" And maybe we don't want that type of player and stuff like that. Now, to me, let me just move this light here. To me, it's not so much about the character. I think what people are not understanding, there's a few details that they're not understanding. And the first thing is that he had an agreement with, it was a verbal agreement, so it wasn't written down, it wasn't in contract. Um, you can't legally exercise this right or force this through, but it's an agreement to leave for a certain fee that he had a gentleman's agreement, which obviously just like a handshake agreement to leave for a certain figure with with Sporting Lisbon, and they've reneged on that. So they haven't accepted that. When it's got now down to him leaving, they've said, yeah, but that agreement that we had, like whatever it was, we think you're worth more than that now all of a sudden. So Arsenal now are in a situation where they've actually bid higher than that gentleman's agreement, which is what Jokovic is upset about because he's thinking you shouldn't be going back on your word. And I think it's quite a tricky one because on one hand, the player is like, you're meant to be a man of your word. You don't stuck to your word. You said you're gonna let me leave for this price, so let me leave for this price. So I understand it on that hand. On the other hand, Sporting Lisbon, let's imagine at the beginning of the season, they've said, yeah, we'll let you leave for 60 million. It comes towards the end of the season, all of a sudden, he's scoring 30, 40, 50 odd goals, and then you think, hold on, we can get 100 million for this guy. We've got to do what's best for our club. You want to leave, like things change, innit? So this is why you've always got to have things written down, or and even if you have things like emails and text messages and stuff like that, they are legally you're allowed to use those in court. So I think you need to always have something hard written on paper or evidence that's actual physical form. And I think this is a true example of that because Gyokeres is on strike now. He wants to go to Arsenal now. And I think as Arsenal fans, we've got to have a little thing where we always realize we were, oh, why is the Gyokeres deal not done? Why is the Gyokeres deal not done? Well, this is the reason why it's not done. I was getting a bit irritated with it as well. I was getting irritated, like, where's Gyokeres? Why need to get up? Why Arsenal moving so slow? This has got nothing to do with Arsenal. This is all about Gyokeres and Sporting Lisbon. He's on strike at Sporting Lisbon because he wants to leave now, which obviously means Sporting Lisbon are not letting him leave right this second because they're saying, listen, we want more for you than we've accepted that we agreed. So I think sometimes we've got to just let things play out. And I think at this point as well, I feel this actually benefits Arsenal because the longer this drags on, the more his price goes down because all of a sudden it's dragging on a bit more, and then all of a sudden it'd be like Sporting Lisbon will be like, oh, you know what? We might as well just accept that last offer. Also, don't have to offer any higher than they're offering right now. There's no need for us to say, you know what, let's offer 80 million. There's no need. This is negotiation. This is real life. This isn't fantasy football or you know what I mean, or Premier Manager or whatever the games that they play. This is real life. So you got to offer some money. You've offered some money. Sporting Lisbon have said, no, we're not honouring that agreement. Arsenal's offered a little bit higher than that agreement. Out of respect for Sporting to say, listen, we know this agreement, we're going to offer a bit higher. Sporting have said, not no, but we want this price. Yonkers is like, you're not sticking to your word. Arsenal are now in a game of chess and cat and mouse right now. Because on one hand, you want to keep the relationship with Sporting and actually get the player and not make it messy. On the other hand, you want to keep the player happy and actually bring the player to your club. Your focus is on the player. So it's like, what do you actually do? You got to kind of wait to see how this plays out, which is the tricky part. Because you're then thinking, hold on, the more this drags out, the lower the price will be. That benefits us. So it's another cat and mouse game that you got to play. And then the other cat and mouse game that you got to play is the termination of his contract. So if he keeps constantly not turning up, all of a sudden he's breached his contract. And then Sporting Lisbon have a right to terminate his contract. But then you can fine him, which I'm sure they probably will do. or you can terminate his contract after a certain amount of breaches, which I'm sure they're definitely not going to do. It doesn't benefit them to terminate his contract because they need to sell him. So terminating his contract. So the messier this becomes between Sporting Lisbon and Gyokeres, the more it benefits Arsenal, because the price just gets lower and lower and lower. And where he's kind of, I don't know if he said it in these words, but where it seems quite clear that he wants to go to Arsenal, Arsenal can just wait. If it was like a bidding war and other teams were coming in and stuff like that, he obviously wants to play for Arsenal specifically. So I'm assuming apparently there's a 5-year deal agreed, everything's agreed. He wants to go to this club. I want to go here. So if you want to go there, I don't want to go anywhere else, and you've made it clear like that, Arsenal in the strongest position. They don't have to do anything. They can just wait. Can just wait there and just be like, listen, because he's going to leave. This relationship's untenable. You can't be going on strike. Very rarely do players go on strike and not get their way. They will not get their way. How many times as a player? A couple of times it's happened, but very rarely do players go on strike and don't get their way. He wants to go, and it benefits everyone for him to leave. Once you start going on strike and it becomes messy, you don't even want that player at your club anymore. You're gonna have an unhappy player. You don't want it. You might as well go. You might as well plan for the future, get some money in, and go and plan for the future. You don't even want him no more. The relationship's it's finished now. It's broken. So Arsenal can just wait. They don't need to rush in now. And I was one of those getting really irritated, thinking, "Oh, hurry up and get this Gyokeres over the line. We've got pre-season soon. He's come. Like players are coming back to training now and stuff like that. Where's our striker?" But they've got to Arsenal. Actually, this is actually business. This is the real world. They've actually got to get the player for as cheap as possible. That's the whole point of this. Let's get the player for as cheap as we can. That's what business is about. And they need to wait. They're gonna have to wait this out. They need to wait this out because there's no point now start bidding high and get Sporting get the. If you can get Gyokeres for 50 million instead of 80 million, it's a big difference. It's a big difference. So we need to wait this out. Between Sporting and Gyokeres, I don't really know how it's going to end. I think Sporting are going to end up finding him a lot. Gyokeres is going to get irritated. He's already irritated. He already thinks they've gone against their word. I don't think this is a stain on his character personally, because he hasn't. I think like if people go back on their word, you're gonna feel a way about it, and you're gonna act the way you're gonna act. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you can always be annoyed at someone's reaction or overreaction. If you don't violate someone first, no one else has a reason to violate back. So that's my thoughts on it. But on the other side of it, if he didn't make a stance, Sporting Lisbon might feel like he wants to stay, and Sporting Lisbon can now negotiate, can now start doing that with Arsenal, playing the game with Arsenal. And Gyokeres is like, I don't want you to get the benefit from this. I want to go to Arsenal. So if he now doesn't make a fuss, and Sporting are like, yep, it's 80 million Arsenal might back out of the deal and be like, you know what, we don't want to buy him for 90 million. Let's go for Sesko, or let's go for, I don't know, Watkins or someone else. And all of a sudden, Gyokeres doesn't get what he wants. So he kind of needs to go on strike, because if he goes on strike, it shows Arsenal that, oh, he wants to come to us. He doesn't want to play for them no more. I want to come to Arsenal. I'm going on strike. Make sure you guys stay in the deal, because this is where I want to go. I don't want to play for Sporting. I want to play for you lot. Wait there. Don't sign no striker. I want to come to your club. So he kind of has to go on strike. He can't really not go on strike. If he doesn't go on strike, Arsenal start looking elsewhere. You start getting wandering eyes. All of a sudden, Gyokeres is not going to Arsenal. Other teams start coming in, and if he wants to go to one club, you need to show that intent. So I think for his own personal reasons, he kind of needs to go on strike. And for Arsenal, they kind of need to wait it out, because the more messier this becomes, the cheaper these prices, and the more desperate Sporting will be to kind of just say, you know what, let's just take this money that's on the table now before they back out of this deal, and we're left with an unhappy, miserable player. So yeah, I think this is I wouldn't quite say a positive, because it's a messy situation, but it's a positive for Arsenal. And I think sometimes as fans, we've got to just understand the other side of the business and stuff. It's not, oh, we take so long, and where's Gyokeres not here yet? We can't get this over the line yet. The bid has to be accepted. Sporting have to let the player go. These things actually have to be done. And if he's gone on strike for a reason, and obviously in the week when we found out a week ago that he wanted to come to Arsenal, in terms of being agreed, we're thinking, cool, next day it should be done. it's not as simple as that. He's now we'll find out a week later that they're meant to come back for preseason and he's on strike. So that's my thoughts in it. I feel like we need to wait it out a little bit and then try and get him for as cheap as possible. Maybe put some more of that money to the Eze deal, because they were saying that there's 5 million that oh, we're not signing for 5 million. We're haggling for 5 million and stuff like that. I don't think we actually really know. I don't think that's really the case. I think the case is it doesn't really matter whether it's 5 million or 20 million. I think Sporting say we don't want to honor that agreement that we had with you. Arsenal have offered above that gentleman's agreement, so technically they could accept that, or they could say no, we want an extra 10 million. But they couldn't change their mind tomorrow and go, no, we want an extra 20 million. So Arsenal can't really do anything right now. There's nothing to really negotiate yet. We've got to let Sporting and Gyokeres figure their thing out first, and then hopefully we get him over the line as quickly as possible. But I hope in this strike that he's doing, he's training. I need him to be firing the first game of preseason. Don't get it twisted. I want you scoring goals immediately. Immediately. So he better be training and keep him fit with his personal trainer, bro. That's my thoughts on. But yeah, that's just thought I'd just give a little bit of my thoughts on the whole Gyokeres on strike, and hopefully we can get him over the line as soon as possible, man, and get a striker in that we need, man.